don't care how crooked you are. I don't know. Like, he's not the number one suspect. Jesus, he got the biggest cocaine, the best known cocaine user in America, living in the White House. For example, does he get drug tested on a regular basis? Since he's in proximity with the president of the United States, and at any time he could overhear a sensitive piece of information. And therefore, if he's a drug user, think about it. If you're a drug user, you got to buy it somewhere, right? They don't. I don't think they produce crack cocaine in the White House. I hope not, unless they got a little garden there or something. I mean, who knows with the Bidens? So this guy, the cocaine he's using, the crack cocaine he's using, comes from Mexico, right? Think of what and you think he's not using it now? You want to bet? Let me show you the history of him for the last 20, 25 years. You don't think he's using a little crack cocaine now? You think he's clean? I don't think so. This would be the longest period of time in his whole life he's ever been clean, except maybe when he was 10. So here's a guy with there's every reason to believe he's bringing crack cocaine and cocaine into the White House. We don't know anybody else yet that we can put on a piece of paper that's doing that. He's got to be suspect number one. Should have been brought in for questioning. He should have been drug tested. I think he should have been magged. I mean, he should have been put under a lie detector. And if he hasn't been at this point drug tested on a regular basis, then nobody cares about the security of the United States, including the Secret Service. They should all be fired. I wouldn't let that bum near the president, even if it's his father. This father is not just his father. He wanted to be the president of the United States. And even if he doesn't know it, he possesses important information. I mean, he's the worst example because who knows what the hell he would say. And he's got this drug addict right next to him. We have a right to know if he's using drugs. And now with drugs in the White House, the guy should have been tested immediately. First thing that happened is the best known user of cocaine in America should have been tested the moment that was found, if we had a Secret Service, if we had an FBI that worked for the people and not for the Biden regime. These are the state police. They stopped being American police a long time ago. I can't imagine a legitimate policeman not ordering a drug test for that bum right away. Suspect number one. And I kind of believe it was in the library and not in the West Wing waiting room, which they changed it to, 12 hours, 24 hours later. But even if it was in the West Wing waiting room, it could have been his connection sitting there waiting for him. Maybe he dropped a little bit of it. Oh, and by the way, have they told us how much cocaine? I don't know. And have they told us whether it's crack or cocaine? Is it crack cocaine or cocaine? And how much? A lot. Small amount. Fingerprints? DNA? So this group of liars, Politico, corrupt liars, says immediately it can't be solved. How would you know it can't be solved the first day of the crime? Maybe the person will confess. The person will come forward and say, I'm really sorry I did this. I don't want to screw everybody up. I am a cocaine user and I dropped some while I was sitting there. I don't know. Stranger things have happened. They have in my experience. Maybe somebody will remember somebody fooling around with it. Or maybe you'll lie detect everybody that was in that room during that period of time, and you'll catch one of them. Look, it is not what the second liar in chief says. The lying press secretary. It's not a heavily traveled location like this is not Grand Central Station. I mean, there are more people there than in the library, but it isn't like an uncontrollable amount of people. We could get and they're all listed. We can get a list of them all. Over the last week, you question every one of them. You can ask them all to take polygraph. Once they don't, you write them down. You don't take a polygraph test. No. Hmm. We could take a look in their backgrounds. Many of them have drug backgrounds. How many of them have been in rehab? How many former crack addicts or present crack addicts work for them? Might be a place they're attracted. They got a big hero there. What a tragedy, and what damage it does the reputation of this country. It's not just damaging to Biden's reputation, it's damaging to the reputation of the United States of America that we have a government like this, that we have corrupt law enforcement like this. A real, real tragedy. Well, Miranda Devine did it again. Miranda Devine, who I gave the hard drive to, Bob Costello and I gave the hard drive to, has done so much independent research and developed so many things. This is only, part of it, but she's come up with a really good one this time that buries the Bidens, but they've been buried so often. I mean, they got 95 lives. They're like the Democrats who vote after they're dead. So this gentleman is named Luft. Now, Mr. Luft has a very, very interesting background. Mr. Luft has been, it looks like to me, a asset of the United States any number of times. He's 57 years old, and way back, even before I knew anything about this, and I knew nothing about him, he went to the FBI, and he told the FBI about how the Bidens were selling out to China. This is back, when they were originally doing it. This guy has nothing to do with the hard drive. Got nothing to do with me or President Trump or Republican Party or Russian anything. Before any of that was out, he went to the FBI and gave him all the information, gave him Walker's name, gave him the name of the company, CEFC. He said they were paying $100,000 a month to Hunter and $65,000 to his uncle Jim in exchange for FBI connections and the use of the Biden name to promote China's Belt and Road Initiative around the world. Now, remember, the Belt and Road Initiative is to seek inroads by China in countries that they want to take away from us, move out of our orbit. It's a distinctly anti-American program designed to reach the goal that Xi Jinping has of world dominance for China, displacement of the United States as the leading country in the world. Used to be by 2048. If I'm not mistaken, he's moved it up now thanks to the cooperation of his employee, Joe Biden. So Luft made these charges, claimed he had all this information, gave them the identity of Walker, Robert Walker. He's the guy eventually that distributed all the money to the Bidens, to all the people in the family, including the grandchildren that came from Red China. And the Department of Justice sent 4 FBI agents and 2 prosecutors from the Southern District of New York, Daniel Richenthal and Catherine Gosh. They were sent to interview Luft in Brussels. And he had 2 days of meetings with them. And he shared his information about the Biden family, he says, including specific dollar figures that he had. And he provided the name of Walker, Rob Walker, who later became known, he says, as Hunter Biden's bag man. He says that Hunter had a mole in the FBI, and his name was One Eye, who had tipped off his Red Chinese associate, Dr. Patrick Ho, and Chairman Yi, who was described by Hunter as the richest man in China and a red communist, that they were under investigation, and got them information about the investigation through the FBI. And that's part of what they were being paid for. This is the deal in which, in addition to the usual 50% of the income going to Joe Biden, this is the one that involved 10%, the additional 10% for the big guy. So you don't get confused about that. People, even Fox, and they never mentioned the 50%. 50% is rock solid. I mean, Hunter tells you that. He says, for 30 years, I gave my father 50% of my salary. Tells his daughter that in a text. You can see the text anytime you want by going to my podcast. And every 3 weeks, I show it. So just keep watching, and one of these days, you'll see it. But they avoid it. This money was going to Joe. So Hunter had an FBI mole named One Eye who tipped off his Chinese communist associates, Dr. Patrick Ho and Chairman Yi Jinping, that they were under investigation. Luft is a very well-connected guy in Washington, Miranda says. He was a partner with James Woolsey and Robert McFarlane, former national security advisor and former CIA director. He learned in 2017 that Biden was in partnership with a nonprofit think tank associated with the Red Chinese. That's when he first picked it up. And he says that when Ho was arrested and prosecuted, he was blocked by prosecutors from ever mentioning Biden's name. Now, I don't know. I don't know that this is true. Here's what I know. It hasn't been investigated, which is just as bad, isn't it? I mean, this is the same story with Bobolinsky. They interviewed him and forgot him. This is the same story with the woman who knows about all the offshore bank accounts who they left out there who could have been killed. They just never followed up, never interviewed her. These are things the prosecutors jump on like that. According to Loft, prosecutor Daniel Richenthal told the judge, I guess during the Patrick Ho trial, that mentioning the name Biden would add a political dimension in the case. And the judge agreed. I'd like to know what judge that was. What if there's a political dimension in the trial? If you want to put it on, in case anybody knows him, that's the picture of Mr. Luft, who then became subjected to all kinds of charges, including being an arms dealer, violating the Federal Agent Registration Act, with Hunter did 120 times and wasn't prosecuted for it. He says he's not guilty of all these, and he's sort of like in the same position that former U.S. Attorney Cummings was in, who brought an enormously powerful evidence of Biden's bribery to the Southern District of New York, and ended up getting investigated himself. They never followed up on his information or what happened to me. When I brought them information about Biden, I end up having my house searched, my iCloud account seized for 2.5 years. My iCloud account was seized the day that I began representing Donald Trump. They didn't tell me. So they're looking at all this stuff on me for 20 years, and they can't find a damn thing. They tried hard. They even tried to make some stuff up. Didn't work. Well, now, I didn't know this, but Luft says on September 4, Richard Donahue, Deputy Attorney General appointed by Trump, ordered the Delaware U.S. Attorney to pause the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden. What the hell do you do that for? I know the election was coming up, but we're talking about, we're not talking about allegations of crimes. We're talking about a hard drive they had now for a year and had already verified. We're talking about witness after witness coming forward. And then Luft gets arrested in Cyprus, and you'll see Luft joins the the group of people like me, like the others who supported Trump, being, in my case, investigated, in their case, some cases, prosecuted. And at least the raid on me was somewhat civil. They didn't show up with the stormtrooper outfits and CNN and like they did with Roger Stone and some others, like, a staged raid for CNN. How do they get away with that? How? Because we let them get away with that. Because we continue to listen to these networks that do stuff like this. It also turns out that the 11th hour plea deal with Hunter was signed by assistant U.S. attorneys who didn't investigate the case. The assistant U.S. attorneys who investigated the case were Leslie Wolf, Sean Weed, and Shannon Hansen, along with Weiss himself, who looks like he's a pretty back and forth kind of creature too. But the special assistant U.S. attorneys, Leo Weiss and Derek Hines, and Benjamin Wallace, none of them participated in the bulk of the investigation. According to Shapley's attorneys, they signed the indictment. But prosecutors who worked for years didn't sign any of the government filings. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting, right? The people who investigated forever didn't sign it. They bring these new people in, they sign it. And I can't see how the judge is going to approve this plea deal on July 26th. I mean, it stinks to high heaven, and it'll stink up the court. And it'll bring the judiciary into the whole issue of, just exactly how corrupted are we by the Bidenistas? Does it extend? It certainly involves our Justice Department. Does it extend to our judiciary? Well, I think that might be a good time to take a short break. And when we come back, give them our phone number.
When we come back, we'll have Kirk Elliott.
We'll have Kirk, and then
we'll give our phone number for some calls.
We'll give them the phone numbers and then get ready.
So get ready to give us a call. You can call us at 1-646-573-5177. That's 1-646-573-5177. Please stick around for our very important message from Kirk Elliott, PhD. And when we come back, we'll have our call with Kirk, and he'll share with you the latest. And this is very important stuff, so you'll want to stick around. Kirk's got a lot of important information for us.
Faith and family, freedom and finance are four things that we would do anything to protect. I trust the team at Kirk Elliott, PhD, Private Advisors, with providing the advice and sound strategies to take advantage of the inflationary pressures, the high interest rates, and the international challenges we face today. The Kirk Elliott team, with over 29 years of experience, shares our values and believes in people over profit. They can help you protect your finances from the big government policies that are out of our control. So what's in our control? The decision to act or not to act is within our control. I encourage you to act. Call Kirk Elliott, PhD, Private Advisors today. Start working with a team that will help you protect your retirement assets with gold and silver while sharing your desire to protect your faith, family, and freedom. Call them today, 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, and tell them Rudy sent you. Or simply fill out a request for a free consultation at kirkelliottphd.com/Rudy. Known her forever.
And you're back.
Got to do it, though. You got to know who to trust and who not to trust.
You're back, and we should have Kirk Elliott, PhD, on the line.
Kirk. Hello, Kirk.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Kirk. How are you?
I am doing very well. It's nice to be with you this week.
It's good to be with you. Now tell us, where do we stand this week? How does the economy look, and what should people be thinking about?
Well, boy, so this week is always kind of weird, any holiday week, because the news cycle is slow, right? So a lot of times you have some crazy stuff that starts happening, and no doubt this week did not disappoint with weird stuff. So June 30th.
I don't know when the last time we didn't have one, but right?
Yeah. So June 30th, one of the weirdest, biggest kind of financial stories of the year. However, nobody's going to cover it because nobody understands. So LIBOR, the London Interbank Offer Rate, it's like
right.
Is when you have a loan, you get an interest rate, right? It's always based on LIBOR. That's like the base rate, which is pegged to the US dollar. So LIBOR actually retired. It died on June 30th, and they replaced it with something called the Secure Overnight Funding Rate, which is not tied to the US dollar. So to me, the reason why I think this is such huge news is because that was the last cog, the last basically thing that was holding the US dollar as the reserve currency together. When loans around the world are tied to the LIBOR, now it's not anymore. So here's where it starts to get a little bit interesting, right? So let's say you're getting a loan. Well, or anybody, or any country, or any bank, or any company, or any person, it's based on LIBOR. Then you start to add things on top of it, like the maturity. How long of a loan are you going to get? What's the asset that you're getting? Is it a house or is it a car? What's your credit rating? Are you going to get a higher interest rate or a lower interest rate based on your credit rating? All of that is attached on top of LIBOR. So when you look at a country, for example, that's getting a loan from a central bank or something like that, and it's tied to LIBOR, it doesn't matter, Rudy. And the old way of doing it, under the clearinghouse model, which is a 50-year-old model from the Fed, if you had assets backing your loan or not. Every country got the same rate. No longer. So under this new system, it's asset-based. So you look at what the BRICS members are doing, the BRICS nations, they've got thousands of tons of gold backing their currency, whether it's China, whether it's India, whether it's Russia. I mean, literally thousands of tons of gold. So they've got assets backing it. They've got manufacturing. They're pulling demand away from the petrodollar, basically trying to be the world's reserve currency. Well, now under this new system, it's become clear that they've got asset backing. They knew that this was coming up. So in a competitive world, they're going to have a competitive advantage against the United States for getting a lower interest rate because of their backing, not just for them, but for all of their citizens. So here's why it becomes a problem for America. Because when we look around, it's like we have amazing people in this country, amazing ingenuity, hard workers, creative, but what assets do we really have? We've got $32 trillion worth of debt since the Clinton administration and Bush and Obama. You've got a lot of jobs being exported overseas. Trump tried to bring those back, but now under Biden, they're being pushed out again. We're losing jobs. So we have Hollywood, I guess, but I don't know if that's an asset or a liability.
Is it an asset they would count?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it something they would consider? I mean, what? I don't think they would.
Yeah, we've got these big problems because you've got oil. We've got oil, right? But now the oil interest, the environmentalist lobby is saying, well, you can't drill in the Gulf. You can't build a new refinery because of environmentalist concerns. You can't frack. You can't drill in the Arctic because you might have a rig that gets in the way of
so that migration. All of that affects the valuation you would put on that, right?
Yes, that all causes inflation in a huge way.
And that means that we get more unfavorable interest rates than the countries that show much more and much more effective hard assets.
Yeah. So not only do we have petrodollar that's leaving, we've got this that's leaving. What are we left with? Printing more money, more interest rates, more inflation. But even something bigger that happened, Mayor, was we've talked on this show numerous times about the BRICS nations being backed by gold, right? And but 2 days ago, it actually became official because the Russian embassy tweeted on their official Russian embassy page that they're excited about the new BRICS currency that's going to be backed by gold. So now it's no longer speculation. You know, you and I have been saying that this is going to be the case because you've got mountains, thousands of tons of gold being amassed by the BRICS nations. And now the Russian embassy says that they're excited about this coming. Well, what happens on August 22nd through 26th, only 5 weeks away? The BRICS nations are meeting. They're having some kind of a big shindig. They're having leaders, heads of state, 30 to 60 of them are invited, but they're not meeting in the crown jewels of the two largest countries in the BRICS nations. They're not meeting in Shanghai. They're not meeting in Moscow. They're meeting in South Africa, and not even in the big cities in South Africa, not Johannesburg or not Cape Town. They're meeting in Durban, South Africa. It's like, what's in Durban? Well, this is where we start to connect the dots and why this statement from the Russian embassy is so important, because South Africa is the largest gold mining country in the world. Durban has the largest gold mine with the Durban Deep Mine. So it's very symbolic to me that they're having this meeting in 5 weeks right next to the largest gold mine in the world, where they're going to probably announce to these world leaders. It's probably, I'm speculating here, but I'm connecting the dots, saying, yeah, we're meeting in Durban, South Africa, to show the rest of the world, and we're inviting these world leaders to say, look at our central bank digital currency. It's backed by gold. We're right next to the biggest gold mine in the world, and would you like to join forces with us? I think that's what's starting to come, and that would corroborate what the Russian embassy tweeted 2 days ago.
So the BRIC nations are Russia, right?
Yep.
China,
Russia, India, China,
right?
South Africa, Brazil.
So they're going to meet right next to the biggest, or one of the biggest deposits of gold in the world. And they're going to make the point that they have considerably more hard assets, gold, than the U.S., for example, right?
Yeah, sorry, Mayor, you're actually cutting out.
I'm sorry.
So
what are they going to come away with? What will they be saying? Will they be comparing themselves to the U.S.?
So I think what they're going to say is they're going to want to usurp the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, right? So we're seeing the elimination of LIBOR. We're seeing piece by piece by piece the U.S. dollar being dismantled, and piece by piece by piece, the BRICS nations rising up. And what's going to happen here is the slow death of the U.S. dollar, the inflationary pressures. Gold and silver will thrive. They will go up in value, as if we have a gold-backed currency with the BRICS nation, the demand for gold and silver is going to go through the roof. So therefore, we need to allocate into that strength, into a system that we can thrive and grow, and not be so concerned about the demise of the dollar and everything else, because we can take advantage of it.
Write it out. Well, what you're recommending, obviously, is that people should consider either increasing the amount of gold and silver they have, or getting into gold and silver in order to protect themselves against what it seems to me. It's not just a matter of protecting yourself. It seems to me, if you just look at inflation and everything else, this is just yet another reason why you should act, and act pretty quickly. And I'm really glad that you were able to explain it on such a universal basis. But the reality is there are any number of reasons why this is something people should consider. And it's almost irresponsible not to make the telephone call. So call 720-605-3900 and tell them that Rudy sent you. I hope they'll be nicer to you if you do, but they're going to be nice to you anyway. Kirk, by the way, if you listen to Kirk, and you can see what a very, very brilliant man he is, but you can also see he's a nice guy. Well, his people are too. They're going to understand that, maybe you do, but you probably don't have, like I don't have the kind of knowledge they have. And their job is to try and educate you and give you choices, not to strong arm you. You don't want to do it, don't do it. But it's silly not to get the information. So you've heard Kirk now any number of times on this show. We have him on basically every Thursday. I think we've pretty much been every Thursday. And he not only talks about, his own situation, his own business, but he talks about, the world economy, which we know is in a lot of trouble. So again, do yourself a favor. Call 720-605-3900. Or you can go to Kirk Elliott, right? PhD.com.
That's right, Mayor.
Is that right?
That's right. KirkElliottPhD.com. KirkElliottPhD.com/Rudy.
Kirk, you have a great week, and thank you for that analysis. I think it was, above and beyond everything else, enormously useful to understand some of the machinations that are going on with our what would we call them? At least Russia and China, we'd have to call adversaries. India is like playing both sides, and South Africa could be like totally corrupt. I don't know. It seems like there are real problems there. But I don't know if we at the United States of America can make too many judgments on a country being corrupt. Hard to be more corrupt than we are at this point.
Well, Mayor, should we take our first call?
I think we should.
All right. So let's take our first call. Let's go to Joe in Brookhaven. Joe, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hey, Mr. Mayor, God bless you, and Ted and Dr. Maria and Mike and everybody there. I've been following you a lot.
Well, you've been terrific. You've been terrific. We love you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I've been watching you all through the 4th of July, and I just want to get do you know that guy Jack Smith? Just throw this out. You don't have to look now. Look at Superman 2, 1981. He looks like the evil villain.
I knew it.
I don't know. Nobody said that. And I say, where I know this guy from? And I looked in. He looks, just Google Superman 2 and with Christopher Reeve. And he's the evil villain Zod. I swear to God.
We can't put that. I can't do it.
I can't put it up there. I mean, I see who you're looking at.
Maybe we can. Tomorrow we'll do it.
Anthology Wiki event. I don't know. So
but
Joe, are you gonna come tomorrow night? You know what we're doing?
I just seen the Palooza, Rudy's Palooza. I seen today. I get the tweet because I'm subscribed. I love it and recommend it to anybody out there. You know that I promote that.
All right, so we expect to see you tomorrow night, Rudy Palooza.
Well, I'm gonna try to swing in and say hi for a second because we got the 9 kids here and getting the babysitter and that's a little tough.
Why don't you bring them all?
Yeah, we could do
Dr.
that.
Maria can help you take care of them.
Yeah, kids in free. You bring your kids and we get them in free. Kids are free.
Dr. Maria, will you take care of the 9 kids?
Yeah.
How old are they?
Oh, they 28 to 3.
From 3 to 28. It's the young ones that she'll take. The 28-year-old, I don't think we can take care of. But the 3-year-old, she would love to see.
Oh, yeah, I would love to. You sold me on free food. That will bring the whole
free
family
food.
down.
Bring the family. The older ones aren't going to want to come with you. But I mean, the young ones will come with you.
Well, Trump got my. Oh, that's a long story. I won't get into it now. Trump got my youngest son when he was a junior in high school when he was first running, very involved. But it's a long story. I'll tell you what happened. Then he couldn't even wear shirts. He got threatened.
No, I know that. I represented a young lady in Washington who went through that. It's outrageous. People, I mean, people wouldn't believe it. They would think I was making it up. What the Democrats do to Trump supporters. I mean, they tortured this young woman.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Mayor, get a load of this. I'm thinking a lot about you because don't think I'm weird. But I was at a yard sale, and I always, anytime I see anything about 9/11, I always grab it, you know. So for like $2, there's a book called One Nation, America Remembers September 11, 2001. So I open it up, and there's the quote, "The attack was intended to break our spirit. It has utterly failed. Our hearts are broken, but they continue to beat. And the spirit of our city has never been stronger." You know who that is, right?
Yeah, I know who that is.
That's you, of course.
No, thank you.
And we also
Joe, you're such a good man. And I tell you, it gives, you know, things like that. People say to me, how do you deal with all this? How do you put up with it? I don't even know how many people are suing me or trying to put me in jail or when I get down, I look in the mirror and I say, I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to, I know it sounds very dramatic, but I really believe I'm trying to save my country.
And you're doing it.
And I want, you know, I'm not the only one, and I couldn't possibly be the only one. I think I have lots of colleagues who are doing that, including you. But
you're not alone.
I know I'm not alone.
Do it.
And I think
and what Mr. Mayor, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't.
What you are doing is the last sentence in the Declaration of the last paragraph in the Declaration of Independence that they did, and what President Trump is doing. And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. Right?
Yeah.
Trump gave up everything. He had a great life, and he gave it all up, and he's fighting for we the people. He gave it back. He did it. He gave it back to we the people, the middle class. He gave us just the opportunity. That's all anybody wanted. And you did the same thing. And you're taking all the arrows. The Holy Spirit's we're gonna win this in the end.
I know we are.
My mom always said, good will win in the end. But you got to go through it. You're such an inspiration to so many out there.
Thank you. And I hope I can keep maintaining it. And with people like you, it's going to be a lot easier. Joe, I hope we get to see you tomorrow night and as many of the 9 as you want to bring. And Dr. Maria,
thank you so much.
Dr. Maria volunteers to babysit. She just said it.
Jesus. She is such a patriot.
Thank you.
I love her. And Ted did such a wonderful job filling in that night for
you.
He
did, didn't he? I'm going to
brilliant.
Think we should let him do. You think we should let him do it again?
He's twice I've watched him, and
okay.
I said, what's wrong with me? He's only 31 years old. He's so smart. What happened to me? He's got so much insight. What the hell?
Check cleared. check cleared. Thanks, Joe. I guess we'll have you on anytime. Yeah, kiss up to the screener, the call screener.
No wonder he gets on.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. We'll hopefully see you tomorrow, but stay in touch. Call again.
We love you. 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 I want to give people some good news after that, and including Joe. So Trump has taken in 35 million since they indicted him the second time. And I have to tell you,
how much?
35 million. So this is a little bit contrary to what I thought, Ted. I thought there'd be a little down. I thought there'd be a little, bump down here with that second indictment, but maybe it's viewed as equally stupid as the first one. It is, by the way. There's no question it is. I'm not going to go through another analysis of it. We will before too long. So you don't forget just how terrible it is. But this recent poll, Donald Trump holds a big lead over Joe Biden in swing states, polls show. Now, this is from, I want you to notice this. This is from Newsweek. Look at that, boys and girls. Newsweek. This isn't Newsmax, which we love and we believe is completely credible. But, you know, the left wing will attack Newsmax. Go ahead, attack Newsweek. And their poll shows that although in an overall popular vote election of the entire country, Biden is ahead 45-44, which is nothing, by the way. It means to me that Trump is ahead by 5 points because Trump is the guy you're not supposed to vote for. He's the bad guy. You're not supposed to vote for him. We don't like him. I mean, Joe's such a good guy. Joe's such a good guy. I mean, okay, he stole a lot of money and he sold out the country and he hates his granddaughter and he helped to make his son a terrible drug addict. But we like him. I mean, we don't like Trump, even though Trump has a family that's quite beautiful and hasn't disowned any of his children or grandchildren and has never taken drugs or alcohol. But here's the key part, much more important. In the swing states, remember we elect people by electoral vote, which I think they forgot in 2016, which is how we beat them. I maintain that if you want to change it back to popular vote, I could show Trump a way to win. But put that aside. We're doing it by electoral vote. Trump extends his lead over Biden 48 to 40%. That's an 8-point lead in the swing states, the states that will decide this election, the electoral votes that will decide this election. What are they? Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. You put those together, he's got an 8-point lead over Biden. He completely destroys DeSantis. Completely. Wow, and it's a bigger number than before. The second indictment, which now argues for a third indictment, because maybe if he has a third indictment, the election will be over. So Ted, let's give people a reminder of tomorrow night, and then we'll cut out. So tomorrow night we're going to have a real special. It's called, what's the name? I didn't do this name. The genius Ted did. Rudy Palooza.
Well, and I can't take full credit. The America First Warehouse team, I want to say helped. I don't even know who mentioned it first, but we ran with it. We're calling it Rudy Palooza. We're gonna put the banner up here, Mayor.
All right,
but can you kind of go through what they can expect with the live stream, and we'll go from there, right? Because we'll be out there tomorrow night for this live stream. It'll be episode, and describe what they'll see if they attend.
Oh, if you attend, you're going to see in a museum to America First, really. You're going to see a museum to America. You're going to see unabashed patriotism and love of this country, the kind of stuff that liberals hate and attack. Ronald Reagan memorabilia, and may even go back to Barry Goldwater. A lot of stuff on Trump, and it's basically a big meeting place that Joe the Box uses, and they have many performances there. There have been a number of live performances, comedy performances, other performances, but it's geared toward people who are conservative Republicans and MAGA. I mean, it's a MAGA clubhouse, exactly where all of the terrorists reside that Biden, wants to put in jail. Not the ones who want to destroy America, but the ones who love America and want to build it. So if you want to go, what do you have to do, Ted?
So if you want to join us tomorrow, we have the information up on the screen now, but I will say it for those of you who are listening to us. Many of our people I know are listening in. Visit theamericafirstwarehouse.com/events. That's theamericafirstwarehouse.com/events, or visit any of our social media channels and you can find a link to this. Try to get your tickets soon. They're going fast. They do have a maximum capacity. I'm not sure what that is. I don't want to guess, but we want to make sure you have a chance to get your tickets now. And your tickets, of course, will include access to the event and will support our ongoing mission.
Okay.
Kids are free. Kids are
So
free.
you can bring all 9 for nothing. But
So
the 28-year-old might not count
Joe-
as a kid.
Joe, and we know
But for
we'll
Joe,
let
we'll
you
let
count.
Joe in.
For
We'll
Joe,
let
you know
Joe
what the
in
heck.
no matter what.
Yeah, Joe, you're getting in no matter what. Who are we kidding? I feel dirty. That's the thing.
So I think, if you're in the area, come. But why? I think you should tune in to see this, because this would be something maybe you want to do in your area. And Joe would certainly be very willing to help you do this. This is a clubhouse, really, for those of us who want to make America great again. Simple as that. So that we can stay organized, so that we can be ready to ward off their attempt to steal the election if they do. We can be ready for the long in those places where they have those extended voting and very suspicious paper ballots, being sent in from all over. We can police them and have people available to examine them. This is to get ourselves organized so that we can take our country back the way the judge indicated in the opinion banning the Biden people from talking to the social media. So I'm going to cut out tonight, but I have to have you hear one thing, because I don't want to forget this. This is about as dramatic an indication of how corrupt the media is, and how you need to listen to shows like mine and my colleagues, like Greg Kelly. I know I can't name all of them, but we're the only ones who give you the truth. And I'm going to play a very venerable journalist who I used to have a great deal of respect for. And I'm going to have her say something, and then I'm going to give you a few facts, and I'm going to let you spend the night thinking about it. This is Andrea Mitchell, and this is her discussion of the shooter who killed 5 people in Philadelphia. He killed 2 children. I shot 2 children, and he wounded others. But 5 dead. And this is what she had to say about it. And by the time she said it, I'm going to let you know what we knew about this person.
So, George Sleece, what have we learned from this morning's arraignment, if anything, about the suspect? We knew very little about him, except that he was armed and wearing battle gear.
We learned very little about the suspect. Well, here's what we learned about the suspect. The suspect has a name. His name is Kambrady Carricker. He's 40 years old. He has been, for quite some time, very enamored of Black Lives Matter. He's tweeted often and other social media, Facebook, whatever, about Black Lives Matter and his respect for them and his hatred of the police. He has appeared any number of times on social media with a bra on, dressed as a woman. There are people in his neighborhood who says he walks around, and they've seen him a few times dressed as a woman. Some people said we thought he was gay. So he at least gives the appearance of being a transvestite, and a transvestite who is a very big supporter of the Black Lives Matter organization that is dedicated to killing the police, that is an avowed, self-acknowledged Marxist organization, and that is run by crooks who steal the money of the people who are, stupidly giving them money. So that's what we know about him. Now, do you think if Kambrady Carricker was a Roman Catholic who went to Latin Mass, she would have mentioned that? You're damn right she would have. You have a right to know this. You have a right to know it, because I'm not going to say there's a big epidemic of transgender people involved in violence. However, there are cases. And the minute it's transgender, they cut it off. And the minute it's Black Lives Matter, they cut it off to give you a false impression. They want to convince you that the most dangerous thing in this country is white supremacy. Well, boy, if you're convinced of that, you're going to get yourself killed. There aren't too many white supremacists out there that are going to kill you. Take a look at who does the killing. Boy, Andrea, what the hell happened to you? Is it worth it selling out like that? We don't know much about the guy. There you go. I got it underlined, see? And that's not all. There's plenty more. There's plenty more on him. Plenty more. Well, we'll be back with you tomorrow.
How exciting.
From the America First Playground. Rudy Palooza, 8:00 on social media, meaning whatever you're on, right? You may be on Twitter, you may be on Facebook, you may be on YouTube, you may be on Twitch, you may be on, what else have we got?
We're on Getter, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch.
You come on that tomorrow
Facebook.
night, and we'll be at First America, and we'll have a great time, and we'll also cover some very,
and if
very
you're in the area,
serious subject, and we'll have Tom Homan with us.
Tom Homan,
And we'll have Scott Lebedo.
give me pizza or give
All
me
right.
death.
Give me pizza or give me death. He'll explain all about that. God bless you. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.
It's
Honey, what happened to the one in this little corner here? The black one in this little corner?
I don't know. Was it there?
Yeah, it was there.
Came?
Yeah,
Okay, then it might
it's around somewhere.